years ago, we were all kind of like aware of the 2012 thing, and it was like a big deal, and then they made it into a Hollywood adventure film, but also there was many books about it. And so we had recently here a very interesting, very rare alignment. I already mentioned the Venus and Sun, and it is like an eclipse, but of course, you put Venus in front of the Sun and it's like not much of an eclipse, but that was the exact alignment. And Venus has a very lovely natural pattern here that lasts 8 years. And when you plot it all together on the retrogrades, moving forward, retrogrades, over an 8-year pattern, you've got this lovely pattern of the journey of Venus in comparison with the Earth as it goes around making this 5-pointed star. A really fascinating things. There is even some artists who plot out not only the Earth-Venus alignment, but Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn. They all make these different patterns, but this one here is especially lovely.
The Venus-Earth, the 5 points, and when the Venus is closest to the Earth, is that what that is?
Yep, that's when they actually have, when they're aligned. Earth,
Okay.
Venus, Sun.
I see.
Earth, Venus, Sun.
Okay.
Yeah, right there, exactly, and that makes these points right there too. It's really fascinating, and then they point here towards the Venus North Node. We have the moon's nodes, North Node, South Node. Many people know about that, but all of the planets have their nodes too. And when they're exactly lined up, that's when we have eclipses, or that's when we have this Sun-Venus thing. And it's so rare. It's like 105 years. So the last time this happened was in 1882. And then it happened here just recently, just in our lives. And the first time was in June 2004, and the second time was in June 2012. The interesting thing is, like, it's so precise, is that after more than 100 years, June of 2004, and then 8 years later, minus 2 days. So precise, minus 2 days, 8 years later, the second Venus-Sun alignment happens, and then we have to wait another more than 100 years for the next alignment. So just to tell you how rare it is.
I don't understand how that's rare, because Venus and the Sun are always.
That's right, but they have to be exact, just like an eclipse. They have to be exact, because let's say, the Venus, could be right here, and then here is the path of the Sun, and you just miss it. You're not going to have an eclipse. Here, and here, and here, and here, but it has to be just exact, and that's where it gets very exact.
Stephen, that minus 2 days is because of the 2 leap years during that time. It would have been, without the 2 leap days, it would have been on the exact same date.
Wow.
I hadn't thought about that.
Just a thought. I'm not saying I'm right.
Yeah. It's very possible, but it's such an interesting thing, such a rare thing, and they have tracked this back into time, like in the 1518 was a time, and when they align, and I mentioned June, so it happens in Gemini, and then 100 some odd years later, it's in Sagittarius, then it goes back to Gemini, Sagittarius, Gemini. And that's the pattern of this. And so I believe that, the Mayan 6th cycle, which was a big deal in 2012, connected to this, that they were looking at the wrong time. They were looking at the Sagittarius time. Remember that? It was like in December. It's going to happen in December, But they missed it because it's every other one is in Sagittarius time. This was June. It was in the summertime, and that was when it happened. And so what people missed during that time, and even though it doesn't sound like a big deal when we think about it, in 2010, an archaeological team found in Guatemala a cave, painted cave, that had all of the calculations of the Mayan priests in there, because they were really big into astronomy and astrology. And so they found it there, and it had been sealed, it had been covered up for 800 years. And then they found it, and of course, how scientists, they have to analyze it and do their, and take their pictures and so forth. And so then in May of 2012, 1 month before the alignment, in a publication, it is now, described and out there for this, again, astronomical Mayan discovery after 800 years, 1 month before the alignment. And that was really fascinating. That was what they were talking about. At the same time, when they do get together, imagine having the sun and the Venus kind of working together. The sun, any Leos here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I know you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so the expression and drama, theater, teaching, and showing, performance, and all sorts of things, taking the energy of the sun, and the sun wants to be warm and wants to shine. It's the center of our solar system. It is shining forth all of its spiritual and energetic ideas and wants to take it on the road. Then we have Venus, feminine, Aphrodite, aesthetics, females specifically, but also art and culture and compositions and so forth. Now they're working together, and so every 100 years or so they get together. Well, recently we had that, and not only, don't think just 2004, but 2003, 4, 5, and then 2012, 11, 12, 13. So kind of like this phase on both sides here, that we recently had this fabulous time of Sun-Venus aligning. And I knew that, and as an astrologer, I wrote articles about it. I gave talks about it, back in 2004. And then I even made a prediction at the time. I said, well, watch, because there's going to be some very talented people born during this time. And when they come of age, we're going to have some singers, we're going to have performers, because it is Venus and the Sun. And then just last year, I was watching The Voice. Did you ever see the TV show The Voice? Yeah. So it's a competition show, and people come in and they sing and so forth. And there was just in a couple of months, I said, here's another young teenager. And it's like she's like 13, 14. Here's a 16-year-old, and they're really great. I mean, they are performing. They are competing against those in their 30s and 40s. And I'm thinking, my goodness, aren't they talented? But I'm saying there's quite a few of them, And so then I looked at also America's Got Talent, and they've got these young kids, these teenagers. And then Greta Thunberg came on the scene, and I go, here's another teenager, and then I go back, looking at this, and I go, they're here.
So this group was born around 2004, you're saying?
Between 2003 and 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, they are now coming of age, and they're now sharing with us. And remember that earlier picture I had of Greta and Jane Goodall. It was for this particular alignment that I'm talking about that I'm really pretty excited about. So here is, what do you think that is, that orb on the left-hand side? Mars, Sun. It's Venus. And Venus is surrounded with clouds. And one of the reasons why it shines so brightly is it is shining like that, but it is very thick clouds. People have not even been able to see inside. And what does the planet itself look like? Gases and so forth. It's like super hot. It is cooking.
A hot babe.
It's a hot babe.
Venus is cooking?
Pardon?
Venus is cooking.
It is cooking. Yeah, Venus is cooking. That's why they're not planning any trips to Venus. You would burn up over there. But again, here, even though both of those had their alignments, as I said, in 2004, 2012, here we have, this is what the Mayans calculated 800 years before. okay, that then they found in this thing and published 1 month before the alignment. I was like, wow, I love it.
Yeah.
So what happened here, and I made this here for Mexico City, that here is the sun setting. Here, right next to it, of course, is Venus. Here it's exact, 15 degrees, 45 minutes, exact, okay? But here is the descendant, 15 degrees. It was exactly setting, exactly setting. And then right here, squaring that up above, is Mars, which also was a very important god of the Mayans, you know, and to have a square like that, you know, directly as, you know, here's the ascendant in Sagittarius, and here it's opposite in Gemini, and it was the Sagittarius-Gemini energies that they've been calculating for a long time. And so I go, wow, so this is what they were so excited about. And that would be like the end of times. They're talking about the end of a particular cycle of a new calendar system. Of course, so many people got a hold of that, and they started having all kinds of great ideas, maybe Neptunian ideas about what was going to happen. But just the fact that they had figured this out, you know, and it's so exact that, you know, I would have to say, wow, this is an especially strong thing. But think about also between 2003 and 2013 and the rise of women in the world. We had, of course, Hillary, who was the Secretary of State. I was in Germany, and Merkel has been the chancellor over there since 2004. And then we had the president of Brazil at the time, I forget her name, as well as
one of the Ginsburg or somebody, one of the women that put in the Supreme Court around that time.
Oh, that's right. That's right, Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sotomayor?
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So many things, you know, connected to that, as well as, oh, here it is. Yeah, I've got Angela Merkel here, you know, July '54. Yeah, she got her job. She was in 2005. Oh, yeah, here it is. Dilma Rousseff was the president of Brazil, and Christine Lagarde was headed the International Monetary Fund, and Aung San Suu Kyi of Burma, although she had been elected many years before, they never gave her the power, and during that time she got to take the power. In the Ukraine, there was Yulia Tymoshenko, who was being, she was a woman of power, but then they were giving her a rough time. And then also in 2012, even Margaret Thatcher returned in a movie with Meryl Streep.
Oh.
So like so many things, you know, connected to, you know, women, but also on the Venus side, all of the art and so forth and compositions. And they even found a Mozart piece that was in Tyrolia in some book. You know, they say, oh my goodness. 2012. And here is Greta here. What an amazing young girl. And again, remember that you start off with a particular chart, a particular time, a particular energy, and then later on there's another wave, and then you ride that second wave. She's riding the wave right now, of course. And we don't have an exact time for her. I'd love to get the time, but this is just a noon chart for her. But yeah, she came on the scene almost like 2 years ago, very young. But think of like the Venus, young girl, expressing something very big, you know, to the world. And she shows up here. Remember, we were talking about like 15, 16, 17 degrees Gemini is the time of that alignment. That is close to her Saturn in Gemini, but exactly opposite. We have got of Pluto at 18 degrees, and it was almost 17 degrees for the 2012 alignment. So Saturn-Pluto opposition here in her chart, which is, by the way, something that Ram Dass had. So she's definitely a powerful gal.
She's about 16, isn't she?
16.
So she having her progressed sun on her Mercury right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, which is perfect for
Yeah.
talking, speaking,
Yeah,
communicating, sharing,
Yeah.
and things like that. Not only that, but this alignment that we're having right now, it's in Capricorn, right? And so it's going over this, and I think even Jupiter is like right on her sun right now. But yeah, so she's got some more things to contribute, and she's really a powerhouse. But again, I wanted to conclude this with like how the whole cycles come together, and here's like the latest, and we're going to be seeing more young kids, whether they're singing, great for artists, great for compositions, great for architects and things like that, thinking again of Sun, Venus. But here she has got a message, to give, like a young Joan of Arc for our times. And specifically, again, the Saturn-Pluto thing in Capricorn, and she is a Capricorn, and that we are really at a crisis point in our world history, and she's telling the truth. She's going up to these adults and giving them a good talking to. She says, the world's on fire. What are you doing? Do I have to stop going to school to tell you this stuff? She's really amazing.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yes.
I have a special interest in the Aztec calendar, and that slide came up and you kind of went right by it.
No, I can go
so
right.
I want to know what you were going to say.
Go back. Yeah.
I do know that they had a special interest in Venus, so it was interesting to hear what you said about
That's
Venus.
right.
Yeah.
Venus, which is why I wanted to bring it to Venus. Quetzalcoatl and Cocucan were two different names, different dialects in the Mayan things, for Venus, the feathered serpent. But it also can be translated, because it's difficult to translate, into the favored twin. Which is an interesting thing. And so they did pay attention to Venus, and they actually used the calculations of Venus for war, because they wanted to have Venus on their side, which is kind of like the good luck thing. But it's a very different perspective than our Western idea of Venus. You don't think of Venus and war. You think of Mars and war. But when you take a look, and since there's another culture, so you have to pay attention. It's like, well, okay, if they say that it's connected to war, then
It is for them.
I'm going to listen to it. So I'm thinking more of kind of like a Helen of Troy type of thing, that, through her beauty, through the attractiveness, it was the Trojan War.
Right.
And you think of the discord when things can happen with jealousies and people like coming to odds with each other, and that could be a variation of this Venus thing.
Here's another symbol for our times. Remember from the 1960s, when they had the man on the moon, and when they had the picture of the Earth, and a wonderful thing. Here is something really amazing that I think a lot of people really don't appreciate. This is sunset on Mars. We have a photograph from a Martian landscape, and the sun is setting. I mean, is that fabulous? 2015, but this is where we're at. We can have a really large perspective here in our time, in this special time. And young people are coming, and they're singing, and they're protesting, and they're sharing things during a very difficult time. So I'm hoping that images like this and reminders of some of these special people can get us all united also, so that we can also get more inspired to give those elders a talking to like Greta. So I wish you bon appetit with astrology.
That's funny.
Those are Oreo cookies, by the way.
Yeah.
It's too late, Mom.
Well, that, you should have served us Oreo cookies scraped down.
I was looking, I was looking for some Fig Newtons too,
Yeah,
but,
but he might,
you know, in
freeze
honor.
grapes out, and we don't want that.
Here's a half one.
You can be DIY, scrape it yourself.
So I know that I covered a lot of territory today, and
I hope I have given you perhaps a bit of my own enthusiasm for what one can learn and how one kind of fit everything into these perspectives, and that there is this great musical composition, a complex composition going on. And if we can align ourselves and our individual song with the bigger songs, then very much like Greta and other people, we can have it further our contributions. Okay?
Yay!
Yay.